Welcome to the Self-Service Generation podcast, where we explore how technology impacts, improves, and enables the customer experience that we all expect from businesses and organizations that we engage or work with. Don't worry, we only keep it to 20 minutes, so hopefully you'll find it interesting. Thanks very much.
Welcome to the Self-Service Generation podcast with me, Gavin.
And me, Steve. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm looking forward to today. It's a good subject matter for me because we're talking about how to utilize AI to unlock creativity, and it's creativity is a massive subject matter for me. So I'm quite excited about this one.
Yeah, very much so. I suppose that the point is it is moving on at such a pace now. And I know we've just had a conversation about looking at ChatGPT. We talked about a lot, but looking at that, and then all of a sudden there's another button on there that you can go, oh, we can share this. I didn't know you could do that.
I can share this chat with somebody else.
Just go, oh right, oh that's great. So and then you're sharing it with me, and and just going, you can have this same chat, and it's all moving so quickly.
Yeah,
so I suppose we're trying to round up what's going on.
Definitely. I think this is an opportunity to actually push our next podcast as well, because we've kind of been having discussions, things we've seen going. Yeah. If you're looking at how you can utilize AI and ChatGPT and elements of that in the home life and improve the way things are happening at home, then look out for the next episode that's going to follow on from this.
Yeah, we've got loads of useful tips. Life hacks. They're going to be AI life hacks. That's what we're going to call it. Right, there you go. Yeah, AI life hacks. You heard it here first. Maybe not, but you might have
done. Now we're doing this more on video. We should probably comment on the fact that we seem to have a knack for accidentally color coordinating.
Yeah. It's not. What I didn't tell you is that creepily I've got a camera and I'm spying on your time. Don't worry about it.
It's not a proper camera with full detail. It's just a color matching one.
That's right. Yeah, just get an impression of what color you're wearing today.
Oh dear. Yeah. On topic, creativity.
That's right.
It's an interesting one. So when we talk about creativity, it could be used in lots of different guises. I think a lot of people think of it in certain ways. So some people look at creativity as purely being an artistic form. In regards to people who are creative are people who design and create art. But for me, it's about it's kind of a fundamental in things like innovation. The creative mind is the ability to be able to take lots of different elements and kind of build them into something that potentially hasn't been before. So that could be in engineering, that could be in creative art, but it also could be in developing products. Whether you're looking at products on the shop and your shelves, or whether you're looking at products on the computer. So for me, that's that creative, where creativity comes from, and that's where things like creative problem solving comes from. It's about building and utilizing experiences that we've gained to be able to understand how to solve existing problems. And there's some really interesting correlations in human creativity and the thing that we're seeing with AI and artificial intelligence creativity in regards to how it works. And how we're starting to see these things work. So one of the things I look at whenever I see these things is whenever every book we read, every person that we meet, every place that we go, every exhibition you go to, every problem that you've solved, all these things basically create the kind of the artistic palette that you have available to you to draw upon to be able to be creative, or to be able to act, or be able to do something, or be able to solve problems. And when you look at things like AI, to some extent, that's ultimately doing the same thing. It's fed off a load of data, or loads of information that's pre-existing, and it's giving it that resource to be able to draw upon to be able to give you ultimately a response.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate experience from previous ideas. So it's drawing from that and going, well, we had all these previous examples, and look, if you look at design agencies and advertising agencies and places like that, we tend to stand on the shoulders of giants and we move on. We don't go from A to Z. We go A, B, C, D, E, and go all the way through, because you go, I like that bit, and if I use that style over here, then that would work quite nicely. but there's also another one over here as well, and you put them together, and that's part of the next iteration of creativity. Even classical painters and stuff like that, they moved on, you know, and there were few breakthroughs. There were a few big breakthroughs from people in their own right, but it's really interesting. They're normally of the school of somebody else, and they learned from their own master, and then they came through. So that, and then they had an idea that was generated by the people that they acted with and stuff like that. I mean, I see this as a very big co-creation space.
Yeah,
you know,
it's huge.
And so it's not that AI is going to take over the creativity of somebody, and it's going to flatten out creativity and just go, oh well, everybody's going to be normalized by AI. I think it's going to allow people to a voice where they may not have had a voice, even in, you know, we're talking about business. So in a business, you know, you've got a team of people around a table and you do brainstorming, going, what we're going to do next. What, you know, you have people that are trying to sell a product, or they're trying to be part of the product process, maybe. And then if they haven't got a voice, so they can't draw, they can't really, they haven't got the narrative skills to write what they're trying to get to, then if they can ask an AI to get that first piece of paper and the first thing, this is what I was thinking of, and generate that communication that they could share with the rest of the team and go, this is the idea I had, then you all of a sudden you're going, right, well, we've included not just the 3 really skilled people at that around this table, but now we've got 6 people around this table, and they're all contributing because they've had a bit of time to go, right, I can't draw a picture for love nor money, but I've got a render now of something that I think this would be a good product for us to, you know, a flying car, you know, type of thing, you know, whatever it may be.
But that's the thing, it becomes, if used correctly, I think we talk about it, about augment, not replace. Ultimately, you can't get away from the fact that it will replace some jobs and some roles. But actually, if you really want to be able to empower your business and empower the way that you're working, what you should be doing is looking at this as an opportunity to augment your team, or augment your team members, or enhance your team members' capabilities and abilities and fill those gaps. So for me, I have a running joke that I'm the artist that can't draw. So I did a BGC in art and design. My thing was building and making things. I went to uni to the hope to be able to build and make things digitally in 3D, in a 3D form, did no 3D stuff, and ended up creating a digital product agency. So my challenge has always been, how do I get the thing that's in my head down so I can kind of show people what I'm thinking, and what I mean. And
that's right.
If you haven't got the words, sometimes that can be a real big challenge. So if you have a way of basically outlining that in ChatGPT, for example, and saying, look, can you visualize this for me, or Midjourney, you can also get it to visualize something for you to get close to kind of where you want it to be. And that could be a really useful way of being able to help you to creatively communicate concepts and ideas. And also on the flip side, if you're in communications with someone and they're messaging you and you don't understand what they're talking about or what they're saying and it's too complicated, or they put it in a way which isn't easy for you to understand, you can put that into it and utilize that as a way of creating a small breakdown of what it is. You can even utilize AI now to start generating the audio content as well. So if you struggle with reading, you put the content into one of these tools. It'll basically utilize an AI voice to then speak it to you, because that's what different people are better or find it easier to consume content in slightly different ways.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's loads of different areas. I think the ultimate thing for me, though, is if you don't use this now, or you're not allowing your team or letting your team play with this stuff, or including this as part of your process, you're going to fall behind, because the productivity that this now starts to generate is huge. You know, the power of it's amazing. And you know, you mentioned in passing Midjourney. We've talked about GPT a lot, and it's hugely powerful. you know, and they've got some extraordinary stuff going on in there, much bigger stuff actually than there's been popularly spoken about. But there's lots of others. You know, you've got Midjourney, Stable Diffusion. There are a few different things out there that do extraordinary imagery, extraordinary renders of different things, you know, based on a description. You know, so you go, I want a flower in a jar or a flower in a glass or whatever it is, and it'll do something extraordinary for you.
Yeah.
You know,
I did the other day. I sat in the office thinking, I'm in the middle of the city centre. I really, my ambition at some point is basically have an office in the woods, just in nature. So I was kind of like, I really want to have that feeling in the office. So I got it to do a wooden window with a forest view, and I got to generate this wallpaper I got it to generate a wallpaper for me so I can have it on all my screens. So even though I'm in the middle of a city urban environment, I get the feeling of nature in the office. I actually had someone ask me if I could send it to them the other day, so I showed it to them and I sent it to them. So I might actually start making these things available for people to use on their own desktops.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? You know, I mean, and this is it. You know, it's not like it's it's taken anything away. It's just added, and it's great to share. You know, so why would you not do it? I mean, look, the areas that this is now covering are, you know, copy we know about. Everybody's talking about generation of copy. But again, we're talking about summarization of stuff. So if you've got those explainers, you can summarize something. The AI is now also doing summaries of massive email threads and things like that. So you can get like, what on earth's everybody going on about? I don't know about you, but you know, you get like.
So I literally did it day before yesterday. So I had a message from a private clinic outlining some treatment. I've been outlining. So the email was like 3 or 4 paragraphs. I don't want to know
about the treatment.
I'm not going to go into details. But the email was like three or 4 paragraphs. Now, if you email me with something that's 3 or 4 paragraphs, you've got a problem. Like, you should be able to. What can be said in 4 paragraphs could probably be said in like 3 sentences. But it outlined different costs and information, and I was so tired. I was like, I can't understand this. So what did I do? I checked the email to ChatGPT and said, what's this going to cost me over the next 12 months? And it was able to look through the email and give me outline what the costs are going to be based on the different options, without me even needing to read through it.
Wow.
So it's the ability to be able to quickly summarize and kind of it's really powerful. It's a really powerful tool to be able to quickly go. And there's an element you probably want to sanity check it, but it's actually pretty good. But also brainstorming as well. So I've done it a few times where I actually did a talk a couple of months ago on AI and kind of why people shouldn't be scared of it and should be, again, utilizing it and using it to power their business.
Yeah.
And I asked ChatGPT to give me the talk structure and what the key points I should cover.
Yeah.
To be able to go, okay, based on this type of audience, what are the core topic areas I should be making sure that I cover, just to make sure I get everything, and got it to create the structure. I may have gone a bit rogue on the structure, but the point is it's giving you the ideas and brainstorming and solving. You're like, how am I going to structure this? It's about making you make that. I could have sat there for hours, like meticulously trying to work out how I'm going to structure this, and this has literally just done it in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and I think the point is that you're not filling in that. It's not filling in the gaps necessarily for you. It's giving you your 6 topics that you then talk about, and you go, "Oh, actually, that's a really good idea. Yeah, that's relevant."
But also, if it highlights gaps, you can then go, I don't know about this. I want to actually do my own research and understand what like my brain would go, I want to know what that is. Like, and I'll go away and I'll be like, I'll research and understand what that means and what that means. So I've got the knowledge then to be able to add to the bits and pieces that are somehow stored in my catacomb of a brain.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose so. The copy bit is powerful, and not just to generate an article or something that you can sub-edit and things like that. It's a powerful area. Imagery is another one. You know, we've seen a lot of stuff with the imagery things, and you know, people have talked about DALL-E, which is part of the OpenAI framework, but you've got Midjourney is amazing. I mean, the quality of the stuff that comes out of Midjourney is extraordinary.
Yeah.
So it's really high quality rendered imagery, and you know, you can just use that for this kind of creativity. We just haven't got the skills.
Yeah,
But what
I think a really good example of that is there's a guy called Amareshi, and he created, within a couple of days, he created a storybook for his daughter. So I think he used ChatGPT. This is probably last year actually, but he used ChatGPT to generate I say last year, I mean OpenAI launched last year, so it's within the last 12 months, but it's not last 3 months. He used ChatGPT to generate the content and used Midjourney to generate the images for the book.
Yeah.
And you can actually find it. I think it's called Alice and Sparkle. So you can actually find the book on Amazon if you wanted to buy it. A lot of people know that it's been generated AI and aren't too happy about it. So that's what a lot of the reviews are. But
yeah. But Luke, the thing is, if it's a decent product, he's probably not gone. He will have used that probably to generate it, but he will have sub-edited left, right, and center. The first draft of the images that came out of Midjourney wouldn't be right, so he would have gone, can you do that again, but with blue or a bit roundier or slightly different cartoon style or whatever that is, because all it's doing is enabling to go through iterations. Whereas if you'd have taken the first draft of that AI output, it wouldn't actually have been probably very good. It would have been a bit rubbish. But what it's enabled him to do is not that blank sheet of paper, not though this, I can't draw, maybe let's get some drawings, let's go through. That makes such a difference. It allows, somebody who's got an idea, like we were saying earlier with round the table brainstorming, but hasn't got the skills to communicate it or produce it. They can, but their idea could have been unique. And it could be a human idea that AI is enabling to come through from a creativity perspective. That look, I can't draw for toffee, but I might have a really nice idea.
I'm learning. I'm trying. I'm practicing. I keep saying I can't draw.
I would love to, but I just haven't found time. And I keep telling myself I'm going to try and do it. But anyway,
we should challenge ourselves.
Stop it.
I'm a natural tangent creator. I'm sorry.
Look, again, different media types, and there's so much going on out there. But even now, 3D renders, which to bring the whole thing into the real world. So I was playing yesterday with GPT to see if I could get a 3D render of a flower. So it would do a flower for me. So I asked it for a dahlia because I wanted to 3D print it, and it would also produce the STL file for the printer. So then I had both things. I had the render, which I can produce. I have no skills in doing 3D rendering or CAD. So it was producing that. And then it would produce the STL file that I could then send to a printer.
It's mad, isn't it, when you think about that, the ability, because if you looked at it in a kind of design concept, so you think about a design studio that might create 2D, that might create games, or might create 2D games, and they want to create toys in the 2D games, they could ultimately go, these are my characters. Can you create this as a 3D model for us to have in the studio? Or even if you go further back than that and you're a designer you're not a designer, you have an idea for a game, you could get Midjourney go down the route of getting to create the characters for you. You can then put it in to then go to create the 3D render for you and then print them out. You've kind of gone all the way through from concept to kind of 3D model and print it out for you in a space of hardly any time at all.
No, absolutely. It just helps. I think it's that spark of an idea, but with the enabler to go, let's get that bit going on. Let's get that, next stage where I can't get to because I haven't got the skills, because look, like you said, a normal artist, a straightforward, somebody who does something in Illustrator or whatever and produces something really nice, and they've got a lovely style, and that style's a human thing that's being produced. But then, like you said, to 3D it and then produce it so that you can produce something out of it, to then maybe do a production model of it that's nothing to do with the AI bit, then you're done. You've enabled that person to do that without having to have extraordinary skill set to produce 3D render stuff that can be then converted into a print, which is amazing. I think that's just astonishing.
The capabilities there are mad. I mean, there's loads of conversations around there's ethics conversations around some of these things as well.
Yeah, there
obviously,
is, yeah.
I think I mentioned earlier around kind of that whole that kind of whole palette kind of building creation piece, and the whole kind of the idea that these machines are trained off pre-existing data, whether that data is owned by the people who train the machines. There's a whole conversation around kind of where's that data come from and who has copyright ownership of the data that is then used to train the models. But then all the way through to who owns the content that is created by these models as well. And it's actually slightly different. I think it's slightly different in UK and US law as well. So in the US, if something you can only give copyright to something which is created by a human.
Right.
So therefore, US copyright law doesn't actually cover AI generated content. UK law is a little bit more cloudy than that. It kind of focuses, and again, we're not lawyers or legal, so I'd definitely say this is not legal advice. This is the way that we're seeing it and the way that we're understanding. If you want to actually understand the legal advice, chat to a copyright lawyer. But in the UK, they use the term of I can't remember the exact term they use, but in instances where there's no human author, the author of such work is the person by whom the arrangements necessary of the creation of the work are undertaken. Now, what I don't get from that is whether me prompting something is I'm enable the arrangement of the works and therefore I am the owner of that, or whether it is the person who creates the platform that allows the work to be created is the owner. And I actually think that they haven't actually yet being able to come up with a solution as to how kind of they manage that from a copyright law.
Well, it's moving so quickly. I mean, how are you going to do that? Look, there's been huge furore about, and this was all ethics as well, about the OpenAI MD or CEO getting sacked temporarily, and well, it looks very much like the money was going to walk with him. And that was going to be a problem, but also he had huge loyalty within the staff as well, and it was around something called Q-Star, and Q-Star is a massive breakthrough. He kind of he alluded to it when he at a speech, and the day later he was sacked. Right.
Okay.
So again, we don't know what the real underlying thing is, but Q-Star is an AGI, which is an artificial general intelligence. Now, we've always looked at AI as being a specific intelligence, so it's a specific skill. It's not a general intelligence. We have general intelligence as humans, but this is an artificial and general intelligence now. And the definitive thing is text and copy and GPT and all that type. So it's very subjective. So it's very, you can go, well, that's not quite right, or it's not explained it like I would do it, or something like, there's woolliness. The AI of the imagery, the stuff that we've been talking about, it has its interpretation, but, definitively, is that right or wrong? There's no right or wrong with it. The AGI is now doing maths, but so it's understanding maths definitively, and maths definitively is a yes or no. There's no right or wrong. It has to be, or there is right or wrong. There's no middle ground. It has to be right. And the major move for this AGI is it understands maths completely, so that it is correct all the time. Now, this is a huge impact with science, because the science that comes out of that means that it has the potential of discovering scientific breakthroughs now that we don't know about.
Wow.
That's a move beyond where we are, and this is why. So there's a big ethical thing now with, well, that is, how far away are we from that now, going through a whole scientific remit, and then having this whole fear of it realizes that we're a plague on the earth and we're going to go. That's which is
just don't give it arms and you'll be fine.
We're in Terminator, we're in Terminator zone here. But essentially that's what that whole furore was about, in some regard, about money before development and all that type of stuff, and those types of conversations. So there's a big picture out here, and that kind of belays some of the stuff that we've been talking about, in the fact that that could then maybe have its own mind of creativity and things like that. But it's not. It's more definitive about a yes, no, and no maths. So it's quite an interesting thing. But yeah, that when I had the news, but he's back. But he's got more boards and stuff like that now. That's going to be around. It's the deal is that what they're saying is that it's going to now hit the cognitive class, i.e. doctors are not going to need to diagnose. It's going to do the diagnosis before it then helps the nurse's role, who then helps somebody support somebody in out of.
I think they've been doing things. They've been using AI for diagnosis for a long time though, because I think IBM were doing it as part of cancer diagnosis, or they've also been looking at doing things like X-ray analysis and things like that. So it's just a case of whether or not it can not only diagnosis but treatment, and be able to simulate and look at kind of how treatments impact certain things based on certain data, being able to understand quickly actually what would work from a data point of view. Brings me back to a couple of films I've got in mind around how they utilize as a Black Panther film, where they analyze this element as to whether or not it's going to have the impact they need it to. They just they make the adjustment, put it in the machine, and it automatically has the ability to be able to work out the success rate of this element. And it kind of brings you back to that thought process, going, actually, so many of these things are about computational power to be able to analyze and understand probability.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the whole thing, and that was part of the reason that there was a problem. If Microsoft had walked away from OpenAI, they needed a Microsoft for the computational ability. If they'd have lost Microsoft, they've lost all the chips that they can do all this stuff on. That's massive. It's huge. It's a requirement.
Yeah, and I'm powered by a different type of chip, to be honest with you. So
fish,
not a problem for me.
Which
I actually had last night. Yeah. But I think looking to an overview, I think the main thing here is, things are changing at a rapid pace. I think the fact that the beauty of kind of what happened last year around kind of the public access of OpenAI and ChatGPT meant that more people were able to access it, more people to play with it. There's a wider understanding of what the opportunities are, and then more people start building and experimenting, which then starts to create this kind of this flow of things happening quite quickly. And what that comes with that is the fact that more people are using it, and there's a risk there that ultimately, if you don't use it and you aren't using these tools, there's a risk you'll fall behind with people who are using it in everyday business. And there's some really good opportunities there in regards to streamlining and augmenting your team and the ability that they have, whether that is the ability to be able to get them to start looking at concepts or do that creative writing piece, even if it's purely just coming up with ideas in regards to what that content should be. I want to do a specific blog post on, I don't know, the impact of AI on the fishing industry. You could then get it to analyze, okay, these are some of the points these are the areas you might want to cover, and you can do that fairly quickly. And that's just a random topic that just came off the top of my head. Just actually brainstorming. But we're also we're also getting it to write content, write emails, any of those things. But also, if you want to do things like images for blog content, but also images on concepts for work that you're looking to do, you have the ability to be able to use these tools to be able to generate images and generate visuals, so you can then help make it easier for you to communicate concepts and communicate ideas. And there is a plethora of other areas where you can start using these tools.
Yeah, absolutely. But it enables people. It enables another voice, and I think that's the bit that I've fixated on, is the fact that if you haven't got the skills, it provides you with the skills to communicate it. So.
Definitely. And it's not, and again, and the point that we're making is, it's not just restricted to business. There's also opportunities in how you can use this in your home life as well, which is what we're going to talk about in our next podcast. So make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow us on social media, so you get that through your inbox as soon as we post it.
All right, super. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
And thanks everybody for listening. I'll speak to you soon. All right.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Service Generation podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. Look out for more in the series, where we take deep dives around specific challenges in this space. Until next time.